What's up, guys? Jeremy Conn here. It is the Lowdown. It's all brought to you by Pickdawgz.com. Appreciate you guys checking this out. Click the like and subscribe button. If you click the notification button, it lets you know every time one of these gets posted. As I always say, I come back in the morning, post the results of my weather algorithm, even on days like this where I'm going to talk all college football. I'm still handicapping baseball until the playoffs are over. And I'll come back and post whatever the weather says if there's a big lean one way or another. And I don't keep anything. So if there is a great spot, and I actually write right next to it, great spot or best spot on the board. So you guys can check that out in the comments. I always post that. Now, check out Inner Circle. If you get a chance, text Inner Circle to that number, and you could be a part of my Concrete Inner Circle. It's a rated system, some stuff I've been doing with Costi and the guys over there. And as I always say, it's more for high rollers, for guys that are spending a lot of money, betting a lot of money, because I don't want to waste anyone's time. You know, if it's too expensive for someone, I get that, because if you're a $50 bettor on each game, nothing wrong with that. Doesn't make sense for you. So appreciate you guys checking that out. And what else do we want to get to? So I didn't have the great day that I wanted. I did call the Dolphins game. There were a couple other things that I had some prop plays in that game that didn't hit, and it was frustrating because I had Tyreek Hill over his total yards. He got the touchdown, but didn't go over the number. I thought he might show out in this game. And I had the under in the college football game. It went over by 1 point, that last score. And baseball wasn't kind to me yesterday. I mean, I hit on the Mets. That's one that I called that game to a T. But I had the over in the Kansas City game, no bueno. And I had, what was the other over I had? I don't even remember the other play I lost. Oh, the Orioles over. Yeah, it's not going to work out if you guys score 0 runs and give up 7. And, the other thing, I loved Aaron Judge because of his numbers against Cade Povich, and he's been hot. And then he gets walked 3 times, so it's really going to kind of put a damper on your ability to get over 1.5 bases when he's only getting 2 at-bats. So anyway, yeah, it's been an interesting week for me because, as I say, like, I map out all my plays, and I always have like a top 5, although I don't post 5 plays every day on the site over at Pick Dawgz for the premium side. But I still do it the way I've done it all these years. And it basically, because it started off with football with me, where I would just list all the plays I like and go up and down it. Back in the day, I'd bet them all. And I'm like, all right, this is a bit much. So I try to keep it to 10 to 12 games, especially when there's multi-sports going on. But I always have a top 5 in the NFL and in college football, and I have that up today on the premium side. And I also tell you guys, like, I think the best buy or the best bang for your buck if you're buying picks is that $79.99. I know that's what mine costs for a 3-day pass, where you get, all the football plays. Basically, you can, for the weekend, if you want to do it on Friday and you want to get the college football Friday night games, so be it. If you want to go Saturday through Monday, I think it makes just as much sense, and it's actually saving you quite a few dollars. And I think it's a great move for a lot of the cappers, and you can pair us up and do what you will with that. One other thing, I think this one will be a little bit shorter. Tomorrow, for the NFL podcast, we'll break down 4 or 5 games. I'm going to do 5 games because, as I said, I owe you guys one. As I broke down, I do so many of these, it shows you how much you remember what you did the day before. But I broke down the Texans game twice, and news break, it was wrong both times because I took the Texans both times. Frustrating game. I am still having some success in the NFL, still up near the top of that leaderboard. I think I'm second right now, but there's a lot that I like this week. And as I always say, my best bet is up. That's my favorite NFL play. I've only had one losing season in over 20 years. And that season was when I first started launching my business and the first time I sold my picks. I don't even like admitting that, but it makes me sick to my stomach. It's like, yeah, I've been doing this, winning so much money year after year, and then you sell it, and then you totally shit the bed. And it's like, what are you going to do? But it's a nice little year to bounce back. I've started off 0-2, and as I tell people, it sounds weird, but now's the time to jump on it. So if you want to check that out, that's up for sale every single week. And I do have my college football and NFL games posted usually by Wednesday or Thursday. Sometimes it'll be a little bit later than that, but they'll be posted before Saturday and Sunday. Now let's get into some of these college games. And what I've tried to do, because I don't want to cheat everyone. I mean, you might get tired of seeing me because I'm doing a podcast, Top Dogs with Mark Zinno now, college football show, and NFL show with him. I also do the college football show and the NFL show with Jay. So you can see that every weekend. I also do my daily podcast, and I jump on the morning show on Mondays and Fridays. And anytime they ask me to fill in anywhere else, I usually say yes. That's my speech impediment. I can't say no. So yeah, you've seen a lot of me. So I know I've gone over a ton of games already. I've gone over some of the games that I've actually have as premiums because, you know, you want to talk intelligently about some games. And I also want to give out some stuff that I think, you know, helps people, whether you are on the same side as me or maybe my information sways you one way or the other. So the 4 games I'm going to talk about, I have not talked about with anybody else. I haven't gone over these with Jay or Mark or even on the podcast here. So we're going to start it off. And I will tell you this. These are all plays that I really like that would be plays for me. I think actually one of these is, but I'll give that out at the end. That's my free play. But let's just dive into it. So Arizona State at Baylor. You're catching under a field goal here. So I've seen some 2s and 2.5s. Jesus, I talk for a living. 2.5 spreads out there. With this game, it's a 60.5 total. You may find that fluctuating depending on where you're shopping for your numbers, but right around there. I've said this before, like I thought Baylor was going to come out of the gates against Auburn, and they kind of got in their own way in that game. Then one of my favorite plays is when they matched up with SMU, and yeah, we got the win in the cover, but we were really lucky. I mean, SMU led for most of the game as Baylor just screwed the pooch in the beginning, just some terrible plays. And then once we thought Baylor had a stranglehold on it, they did some dumb things as well. With that being said, Arizona State, I got the hiccups again. Arizona State without Cam Scatterbo. Remember they were in the playoffs last year. Everybody loves Cam Scatterbo on the Giants now. But Arizona State, I think it's still a good squad, and they have a lot to prove. I like them on the road here. I think they go in and not only cover the spread, but they win this game outright. Yeah, I know, 2.5. It's not much, but I'd still take the points here just in case anything goes wrong. You know, we have one of those close games. We have a game that goes to overtime. That's why, like, sometimes I don't laugh at the 2 points thing because, hell, I've won a ton of games by 1 point on some crazy-ass spreads, and you see the way that games come down. Teams start going for 2, and then that extra point means a lot more down the stretch. There's all kinds of things that can happen. I just think Arizona State's the better team. I mean, I like what I've seen from Baylor since the loss to Auburn, but even I still have questions on how good Auburn is. I'm going to be all over Arizona State here. That's going to be my lean. Now, this is another interesting one. We're going to go to Purdue at Notre Dame. Notre Dame's a 24.5 point favorite. God, that's a big number. 51.5 is the total. And watching these teams, Purdue sucks. I mean, just stinks out loud. Notre Dame needs to have some sort of, hey, this is who we are, come out and flag plant. And because, I mean, they were one of my plays over the weekend, and I was so disappointed in them. They go right down the field and score, and I'm like, all right, this is what I'm expecting. And then they just kept giving it back and couldn't get anything done against A&M. And then now you're coming against a Purdue team where, I mean, in my opinion, this should be like a 38 or 41-10 type game. I just think Notre Dame should blow them out. They're better on both sides of the ball, and they need one of these games to kind of get right. So I would take the minus 24.5, and I think it's a key number. When you get that half over the 24, and you're looking for, I mean, as we said, 3s and 7s and 10s are the main numbers. But when you start adding those up, 24 is one of those numbers where you see you can get to. You could easily win by 24 points as long as everybody's kicking extra points and things like that and not going for 2. But I think the line's begging you to take Purdue here, and I'm going the other way. I'm taking Notre Dame. So that's where my lean will be for that one. All right, this is a game, and I'm still debating on whether or not I'm going to put this one up because I have 5 plays up already, and I might add a few more. But this is one that just didn't make the cut in my top 5, but it will be a play for me on Saturday. That's Duke -3 against NC State. 57.5 is the total. I like Duke here. I think this, when you look at the matchup, Duke's had some interesting games. That crazy-ass game they had in their last one where I think in the fourth quarter it was just nonstop scoring. They were going back and forth. I think Duke's the better team. I'm sorry. Like, NC State, been fine so far. It's a nice spot, but everybody's coming in on NC State, and I'm going to fade that, and I'm going to go with the home team -3 and hope they get it done at home. And I say hope. You know, we get to a lot of points here where, depending on how things go, bad coaching decisions, turnovers by young quarterbacks, things like that, can really offset, anything that you're handicapping. As I said, turnovers is the one thing you can't, not the one thing, but one of the things you can't handicap. And again, even if you could, you don't know where they happen on the field. There's a big difference of going in for a score and throwing a pick, or, throwing a pick down the field and someone picks it off and it's more like a punt. You pick the ball off in your opponent's territory, you're already in scoring range. And if it's the other side, you're taking points off the board for them. So I just think it's an interesting spot to take the home team here. Give me Duke minus the 3. Now, a couple other things to kind of talk about, and I'll get into this play real quick. As I said, I'm going to have 5 plays tomorrow for the NFL that I'll break down. Try to go over some different games because I hate giving you guys the same stuff if you're tuning in and watching it. But this final game is Syracuse at Clemson. Clemson's favored by 16.5. You'll see some 17s out there, but I have seen some 16.5s, and that's what I'm jumping on. 54.5 is the total. So we have an interesting week here. Dabo goes down to Georgia Tech. They lose to Georgia Tech. Everybody's talking about, should he be fired? Do they hang on to him? I don't know how much you guys got to hear, but being in the sports talk industry, we have a lot of sound bites and clips that we come across, and we had the one of Dabo just kind of talking about all the great things he's done at Clemson and how many national championships he's been to and won, and how many times he's been in the playoffs, and how many times he's won the ACC. Yeah, I think he said, if they want to get rid of me, go ahead and get rid of me. Somebody else will pick me up because I'm a good coach. And the good old boy in Dabo, he's right. He's a really good coach, and he's a really good recruiter, but some of the guys he's recruited, those dogs don't hunt. The DJ Ugalele thing was just I thought this kid was going to be great from the way they were hyping him up. Nothing there. Syracuse, I really loved that team last year. It was one of my favorite teams to kind of, even in daily fantasy, going up to the point of, was it Will Howard, the old Ohio State quarterback that was there that got drafted. And all the weapons he had in the running game, in the passing game. I loved their tight end hybrid, Gatson. And Syracuse was a team that I bet on quite a bit last year on overs and again, use them in daily fantasy because I do play a lot of college football daily fantasy. I like that a lot. But in this spot, Syracuse lost some of their best players to the next level, and I still think they're trying to figure out who they are. Clemson needs to make a statement. They need to come out and just demolish a team. And I don't know that Syracuse necessarily beating the crap out of them gets you to where you want. But after the week that Dabo's had with everybody questioning him, I think the team comes out and plays an incredible game against a bad opponent, and they beat their ass. I wouldn't be surprised if this is, again, another one of those, I call them puffy pants games, the MC Hammer. You break it out, and this is one of those spots where I just think Clemson kind of gets right and wins by more than 3 touchdowns. So I'll gladly take them minus the 16.5 as my free play. Appreciate you guys watching this. As I always say, check out pickdawgz.com. You don't have to purchase my picks, but if you're looking over there, there's a ton of great cappers. I was just checking some stuff out. You're always sizing yourself up against everybody else. Big Al's killing it in college football. As Jay's talked about, when we get to NBA, he's killed it there. I can't wait to show everybody my college basketball and NBA because that's one of my favorite sports as well. As I've stated, I know I look like it. I played basketball in college, or I should say I walked onto a D1 team, made it, and then got into a car accident and then never played, and that's what led me into radio. It's a long, weird story. I know I have plenty of time. Maybe one of these times I'll tell the story about how I ended up in radio because I did not go to school for it. I thought I was going to be a math teacher. So I majored in math, and I was taking, Calc 2 in my freshman year. I was in, let me take my third arm out and pat myself in the back. I was in these gifted and talented math classes when I was a kid. One of those national tests that we did, I scored unbelievably high on it. So they actually put me in a different middle school than all my friends were going to. And then we moved from Baltimore to another area here in Maryland. Harford County, but nobody there is going to know it unless you're from Maryland. And then they put me in a remedial math class. So there were 2 people getting 100%. It was me and the kid sitting next to me. So it was kind of funny. And then they separated us, and I looked over at him and said, "I'm sorry," as I was done the test in 30 seconds because it's remedial math. But anyway, so I do have that math background that I think has helped me in this industry. So if you're checking out the cappers over there, a lot of great guys. You can pair us up. I think there's opportunities. I keep telling you guys, if you buy the 3-day pass, if you're purchasing picks, if you buy the 3-day pass, I think it's the best bang for your buck, no matter who you buy it from. So hope you guys win some cash. Definitely check out pickdawgz.com, and I'll be back tomorrow with an NFL podcast. See you.